woke up this morning and decided to make this a spring baking day. Since Lou and I have changed our diet, we don't eat many, if any, baked goods, to tell you the truth. But I do love my sourdough. So I created a recipe that I think is about as healthy as I can make it. I use a total of 4 cups of flour. I use 2 cups of whole wheat, a whole grain flour. I use 1 cup of Spelt flour. Spelt is an ancient non-GMO grain. And I also use 1 cup of Einkorn Flour, which is also an ancient grain. And that just means that those grains have not been fooled around with, and they are not genetically modified. They are a little bit difficult, I find, on their own. If you want to make just an einkorn loaf or just a spelt loaf, it takes a lot of practice to get it just right. But I find if you add just a little bit of the more modern wheat, like the whole grain or the whole wheat, it makes a beautiful loaf, and you get the benefit still of the spelt and the einkorn ancient grains. This recipe will make 2 loaves. I also enrich it by adding, I add 2 teaspoons of salt. I add a 1/4 cup of nice soft butter and about 1 1/4 cups of water and an egg. I add that. Look at that beautiful yolk. It's so orange and pretty. And I use about 1/2 cup of my starter and that 1 farm fresh egg, which is just so beautiful. Give it a good mix. Sometimes you may need to add a little bit more flour. Allow the dough to rest for an hour so that those grains, all the grains, the whole grains and the non-GMO grains, can soak up all that liquid. They've got the egg and the water and the butter. It needs to soak all of that up. Then I'll start that kneading process, or what's known in the sourdough world as the stretch and folds. And you need to do that for many reasons. You're going to build your gluten up so it makes a beautiful loaf of bread, and you are also going to help so that those grains can indeed incorporate all of those liquids that you put in there. Just put a cover on it and find a nice warm spot and let it sit for at least an hour, and then you'll come back to it off and on during the day, and you'll do those stretch and folds. Today is a collaboration with Mary over at the Rose Homestead. You will love Mary's channel. She's so sweet and so adorable. Please be sure you look for the link to her channel below and go and enjoy what she's created for you today. Mary at the Rose Homestead. My other recipe today is a fabulous cinnamon roll hot cross bun. Yep, all together, cinnamon roll. I'm combining my cinnamon rolls with the hot cross buns. It is a yeast dough. Many of you have requested that. You have also requested that I show you how to make bread without a stand mixer. I'm always forever using my stand mixer, but it is just as easy to make it by hand, and I hope that I can show you that today. So no mixer today. Everything will be done by hand. I have an excellent video on my 1-hour 1 rye cinnamon buns, and I'll list that below. You'll find this exact recipe there. The only change I have made is additional ingredients for the hot cross buns. That will be the zest of 1 medium-sized orange, about 3/4 of a cup of raisins, or if you're raisin crazy, you can add a whole cup. It really doesn't matter. And 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Now, I'm using my own homemade vanilla today, but if you have store-bought vanilla, that is just fine. I have also made these with about 1/2 of a teaspoon of almond with the vanilla as well, and wow, that is a treat too. I didn't have any almond today, and for some reason I just decided not to make that, or not to use that, but yeah, if you want to try that, if you want to go out on a limb and just try something a little bit different maybe, try that little addition of the almond. It really is special, I mean it. You basically just throw all your ingredients in a great big bowl, and then you mix it up and incorporate everything. At some point, you're going to want to get your hands in there and be sure that the orange rind and the egg and all those raisins and the cinnamon are just fully mixed. Add additional flour. Now, sometimes an egg can be bigger than another egg, a large egg or a small egg, so you kind of really never know. So you got to get your hands in there. You just have to do it. If it is just too darn sticky, it's just continuously sticking to your fingers, then yeah, you have to add just a little bit of flour. And I mean just a little bit, like 1/8 of a cup, if that. Just pinch it with your hands, go back in the flour bin, pinch it, and sprinkle it like you would salt maybe over something. Just little bits at a time until you can handle the dough without too much of it sticking to your fingers. A little stickiness is good. Too much stickiness, it will be a disaster when you try to roll it out on your counter. So I'll just give you that little tip there. You want to keep working with it until it is smooth, 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 and there's no rough spots on it. Make sure that the butter is well incorporated in there. Sometimes it will stick to your counter a little bit. Again, if it does, toss in just a little bit of flour. When you start to roll it out, if you think there's a little bit too much flour on there, you can always just brush it aside. In fact, I would want you to do that, and I will show you that in just a few minutes here. All right, once you have gotten it all nice and smooth, this is where you're going to start your kneading process, okay? And all it is, it's very similar to the stretch and folds of sourdough. I mean, sourdough basically is just the yeast that we use to make a beautiful bread, and it rises just like a yeast bread does, and it has that stretch and fold method that we use. And here I'm just doing that. I'm stretching it out, pulling it over, stretching it out, pulling it over until it is so smooth, as they say, like a baby's bottom. And I've got it just right here, and it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful dough. Just give it a cover for just a few minutes. You want to let it rest. I'd say like 10 minutes. This is not a rise. This is a 1 hour, one rise. We're going to let it rise in just a minute, but we're going to cut the actual cinnamon buns out first, and then we're going to let it rise. It doesn't need to have 2 rise. That is what makes these particular rolls so incredibly good. These are very, very popular on my channel. I have had many pictures of gorgeous cinnamon buns sent my way. And so if you make these and you happen to take a picture, go ahead and send them to me at superit60@gmail.com. I would be thrilled to see them. Just let it rest while you prepare your dish with butter. This is only a 1 rise recipe, remember. It's easy and they are incredible. A wonderful Easter spring treat for your family. The filling consists of brown sugar, softened butter, and lots of cinnamon. Now, you don't have to have super soft butter. You don't have to have melted butter. If your butter has been sitting out on the counter for an hour or so, it will be just fine. That's about the story that I had today with my butter. It was not as soft as I generally like it to be, but it worked out just fine. I just used my fork just to kind of get it all started and incorporated. But eventually, I went in with my hands. You got to go in with your hands. When you bake, your hands, like they say, they are your best tool in your kitchen. So I just went in there and just incorporated it all together and mixed up that butter and mixed the brown sugar and the cinnamon, lots and lots of beautiful cinnamon. And you will see that it will come together beautifully. I actually ended up creating almost like a ball about the size of a softball or a baseball. And it worked just fine. I just set it aside, and when it comes time to roll out that dough and put in the filling, it will be absolutely perfect. I want to welcome those of you who may be coming over today from Mary's channel. Thank you so much. My husband Lou and I recently moved to our farmhouse in the forest here. So we are still getting settled. We will have furniture soon. And I am so grateful to have you here. I hope that you'll consider subscribing to my channel and becoming part of our Super at 60 family. Roll out your dough, not too thin. Just put a little bit of flour down so it doesn't stick to the counter. Again, though, let me caution you about additional flour. You do need it so it doesn't stick. However, when you're done and you have additional flour over the top there, just take your hand and brush it off. You don't need to have all that flour. The amount that I have on there today is just fine. That will not hurt. But sometimes, if it's covered in flour, that's not good. That will actually make your cinnamon rolls very tough. So just use the right amount of flour that you need, not too much. And if there's any additional there, just simply brush it off with your hands. Or you can use a pastry brush. That will work just fine. I'm going to go ahead and spread out my dough here, or my filling. Very easy to do. I just use my hands or the back of a fork. It doesn't matter. If my butter had been even a little bit softer, this would have been a little bit easier to do, but it doesn't matter. You see, it just all works out in the end. People have been scared of cinnamon rolls for so long, and it is actually, I have to tell you, one of the easiest treats that you can make. It is so easy to make this dough, and it is so easy to just simply roll it out on your counter and throw on some beautiful filling, roll it up, and cut them up and get them in a pan and bake them. And that's really all there is to it. There's not really much room here for mistake. They're pretty much foolproof. And you have to admit, there is nothing like a warm, ooey, gooey cinnamon roll. Today I'm making these for a Sunday school after church picnic. I'm excited to bring them. I think everyone will enjoy them very, very much. I cut them into 16 pieces, but if you want to cut them into just 12, that makes a perfect larger cinnamon roll. And they are just so delicious. Oh my goodness. But I wanted to make them just a little bit smaller so that I had more to offer. But in the end, these rose so beautifully, and a lot of people sliced one of the rolls in half, and a lot of people shared one, which is probably a very good idea. But I was happy that I had plenty for everyone. After you put them in the pan, just arrange them as best as you can. If any of them got squished while you were cutting them up into 16s, all you have to do is so easy. You just go back in there with your hands, pick it up, give it a little shape, and it will be perfectly round, and it will rise exactly the way that you have it, nice and round. And I don't know if there's anyone who would not eat a cinnamon roll because it wasn't perfectly round. Let's get real here. Meanwhile, I'm going to give my sourdough the final stretch and folds. I've been coming over here about every 45 minutes and stretching and folding it, stretching and folding. It's already starting to rise beautifully, so I'm not worried this is going to work out. This particular dough works out every single time. The dough gets softer and softer as you play with it and stretch it and fold it. So I'm going to put the cover on it now and let it do its full ferment now, its full rise. Meanwhile, I'm going to get these beautiful babies right into the oven, 350-degree oven for about 30 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes. Don't let them get too brown, and you don't want to overbake them, so keep a good eye on them. I would say about 25 minutes. If your oven runs a little hot, just be on the lookout. Oh, look at those beauties. I'll finish them up with my favorite cream cheese frosting and then put the traditional cross over each roll. I had a little sanding sugar, so I'm going to use that today. I happen to have some in pink, but I think if you had the traditional white sanding sugar, I think that would look pretty too, but you don't have to use it. I did toast some coconut, and decorated the tops with those delicious Cadbury eggs. I did use a pink frosting that I bought at the grocery store, this particular pink package here. They have blue, they have green, they have white if you want to keep it traditional, but I wanted to add a lot of color to these. And that worked out just perfectly. Just make one line all the way across and then all the lines down the other way, and you have everybody gets a cross on top of their cinnamon roll hot cross bun. And then I'm going to put that coconut right in the middle of each of the cinnamon rolls. That way, kind of looks like a little nest for those little Cadbury eggs to sit in. So the Cadbury eggs stay right where they're supposed to be. I take a little bit of the frosting and just use it as kind of a glue. Put it on the back of each egg and place it down over the coconut. It keeps the coconut in place, and it keeps the Cadbury egg from slipping off or falling off. But look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I just think that is they're just simply beautiful. And that cinnamon and orange goodness in there with those nice plump raisins, it's a special treat. Sourdough breads are baked. I keep one on the counter. The other one I slice up and prepare for the freezer. Just separate each slice with some pieces of parchment paper that you pre-cut, so you can easily take out one piece at a time and throw it in your toaster. I just separate each piece with the parchment paper, and like I said, it just makes it so much easier. If just Lou wants toast in the morning, or if I want a piece of toast, I can just go in there and take it out and put it directly in the toaster, and we have those with a plate of eggs, and that is that. That is a wrap, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Please consider subscribing to my channel, Super at 60, and don't forget to check out Mary's Rose Homestead. She is adorable, and you will love her channel. It was a pleasure having you here with me in my kitchen today. Please give me a like if you enjoyed today's video, and please leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Bye now, and Lord bless.